Every great competitive scene eventually reaches a point where it feels as though history repeats itself. That's kind of the beauty of something that's old enough to have history. For Super Smash Bros. Melee, those moments are always happening. It's history, a constantly moving object, being written and rewritten as torchbearers pass along their legacy. And yeah, you already read the title, we're doing a tennis video. And dude, I barely even play tennis. I play pickleball, for God's sake. Like, why does tennis work so well? Hey, have you read the inner game of tennis? Big thanks to G Fuel, who has paid to be mentioned in today's video. Yeah, you heard right, I'm an official gamer-fueled partner, woo! Sorry, I don't know what came over me. Anyway, G Fuel just rebranded with a new logo, a new website, and an updated Formula 2.0 with cleaner ingredients and a better taste. And if you like their old stuff, don't worry, those are still there too. For G Fuel's Fear Fest, I got sent the Jason, Chucky, and Nightmare on Elm Street collaborations, and they honestly taste great. Some flavors even have a non-caffeinated Supreme Hydration option, which I personally like so I don't get super caffeinated out. From October 9th to the 15th, they're also running a BOGO sale for all of their FearFest product launches, and if you use my discount code WALT at checkout or go to gfuel.com/WALT, you'll get 20% off your order. Full transparency as always, but any purchase you make with my link will give me a small commission while also informing G Fuel I'm an epic gamer, so thanks. I'm going to be a long-term partner with G Fuel, so definitely expect to see more of them on the channel in the coming months, but I just wanted to say thanks to all of you guys watching for being really chill with these sponsors in the first place. Thanks again to G Fuel for supporting me in the channel, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. Allow me to set the scene for you. Before you are 3 players, 2 young guns who have thoroughly ushered in a new era of the game, better than all the rest and making sure everyone knows it. Alongside them, a grizzled vet who just won't say die. If you aren't as familiar with Melee, I'm talking about these 3 players, Zane, Cody Schwab, and Hungrybox. At least at the time of writing this video, which is like 3/4 of the way through 2025, it seems as though Zane and Cody are on their own tier with Hungrybox slightly below. But the way in which the current elite are battling for supremacy looks eerily similar to what's happening in professional tennis with Carlos Alcaraz, Jannik Sinner, and Novak Djokovic. Not just in narrative, but in playstyle as well, to a creepy degree of similarity. In both games, these rivalries aren't just about results. They're about clashing playstyles, generational narratives, and the question of who will truly define the era. Zane is to Melee as Carlos Alcaraz is to tennis. Just like the young Spanish superstar, Zane is explosive, charismatic, and impossible to ignore. Zane took his main character Marth to new heights, becoming the de facto Marth torchbearer after the reign of Mewtwo King, redefining what the character's Punish game could really be. He's recently taken on content in part to develop his own personal brand and proved he could be just as good on his main as he could with any other character in the cast. The Suckathon happened and Zane won 4 major tournaments in a row. Coincidence? I think not. Alcaraz did the same in tennis, an all-rounder who blended raw talent with a tireless work ethic. Alcaraz excels from the baseline but is not afraid to approach the net, and his mental game is completely on point, with an absurd 93% win rate in matches that have gone 5 sets. Couple all of that with a creative and unpredictable playstyle, and it feels as though he has the best of all the old legends: Nadal's explosiveness, Djokovic's defense, and Federer's finesse. He is only 22 years old with a mind-numbing 6 Grand Slams to his name already, just 1 short of the legendary John McEnroe and 5 from cracking into the top 5 of all time. Both Zane and Alcaraz are loved by their fans, and when they're on, it's a sight to behold. They are incredibly stylish, but both are ruthlessly weaponizing that swagger into valid tools. For Zane, these are pivots, edge cancels, sour spot mix-ups like dare and up smash. For Carlos, the forehand drop shot. These things look disrespectful, and trust me, sometimes they are, but they've become so optimized and so common that this type of movement is just a part of the vernacular of their competitive scenes at this point. Watching them win with this style behind them feels like we're watching their respective sports evolve in real time. And they also both dyed their hair blonde, so there's that. Then there's Cody Schwab, who to me mirrors Jannik Sinner. Cody's rise to the top of Melee was a slow burn, one built on consistency and precision, and his original tag, doing work. For a long time, people wrote Cody off as just another Fox player, just as some initially dismissed Sinner as one-dimensional. Thanks to some coaching from Armada in the pesky Puff matchup, Cody's breakout tournament at Summit 8 proved that he wasn't just any old Fox though. Both he and Sinner proved the masses wrong through sheer optimization. Cody's Fox was always in the lab, every punish looking meticulously crafted, to the point where he made Fox look like a near-perfect realization of what the character could be. It is so optimized, so difficult, that you simply cannot deny he is the best player to ever use the space animal. Sinner, by comparison, has an insanely sharp baseline game that was mechanical, efficient, and brutally effective. The crown jewel of this game plan, though, is in his reduced take-back time. He's remarkable because he literally saves time and is therefore less predictable in his spots because of a short take-back on ground strokes. Much like Cody's tech skill almost feels like it's saving frames, this tiny yet exponentially effective optimization has made Sinner a fast riser to the top of tennis. Speaking of making it to the top, the way in which Cody and Jannik have rose to prominence is also uncanny. Both players had their come up after their modern day counterpart, so Cody after Zayn and Jannik after Carlos. We often see this narrative of a quote-unquote methodical player becoming unseated by this magical upstart. But here, it's the other way around. Zayn and Carlos were the best in the world first, followed by Cody and Jannik, who made their way into #1 consideration. They may not have that same charisma as Zayn or Alcaraz, but they earned that #1 spot the old-fashioned way, by grinding until the results spoke for themselves. And finally, there's Hungrybox, who is the Novak Djokovic of Melee. Both are veterans, survivors, players who refuse to go quietly no matter how many times people say their time has passed. Hungrybox, in truth, spent many years of his career being perceived as a foil or villain to the scene, even getting a freaking crab thrown at him at the peak of the toxicity. Every single time the game has threatened to leave him behind, Hungrybox has found a way to hang on. His stint from 2017 to 2019 as the best player in the world was followed with a quote-unquote slump, but to this day, he has still never fallen out of the top 10. Now, in 2025, he's returned to a familiar summit, reaching #3 in the world just behind the inevitability of Zayn and Cody. In tennis, Djokovic's story is nearly identical, like to a freakish degree. His defensive counterpunching style of tennis was equivalent to Jigglypuff's initial perception to the scene. Both are frustrating to play against, suffocating to endure, and devastating when executed at the highest level. And this is a nice way of me saying HBox has gone on record multiple times saying I'm going to kill the game by ledge camping or things like that, so you get what I mean. But one of the bigger notes I want to bring up that is eerily similar between these two is in how they both served essentially the same role in their larger group. Both of them were considered minor members of what are considered the greatest generations of their respective titles, the Big Three in tennis and the Five Gods in Melee. While perhaps thought of as the weakest links in their respective chains at first, both Hungrybox and Djokovic went on to outlast all of the other luminaries. This is part of the reason why both were thought of as villains too, by the way, and it's the weird part about both of their trajectories into more beloved figures in their scenes as they age into charming crotchetiness. I'm not gonna lie, it's kinda hard to root against a 38-year-old Djokovic whose body can literally break in half when he's still going head-to-head with some of the best players in the world. On top of all that, Hungrybox and Djokovic both hold what seems to be an untouchable record at this juncture of their careers, of the most titles in their respective sports. Djokovic with 24 Grand Slams, and Hungrybox with 38 major tournament victories. The real story and the relationship between these two players is that they're the ones you thought would live in this elite status and end up the less remembered. But instead, they have bridged generations, outlasted everyone else, and they have the titles to show for it. Actually, one more thing on top of that because I just find it kind of funny, but both of these players rose to prominence following a pretty significant lifestyle change. For Hungrybox, he enlisted the help of Crunch, one of his longtime friends, to be his coach, and for Djokovic, he found out he had a gluten intolerance. The coaching for HBox and diet change for Novak resulted in quite literally immediate wins for both of them, which again is just a pretty funny coincidence. Like I said, I'm not much of a tennis player, recreational at best, and much more of a watcher than anything else. But why exactly do these comparisons feel so right? Is it just because Hungrybox and Novak are old? Well, kind of, and many have said Djokovic is the Clutchbox of tennis. This is real, but here's the thing though. In both Melee and tennis, we are witnessing a true clash of generations. The young phenoms Zayn and Cody seen as heirs to the throne that Hungrybox once sat on. Not to mention, this is also coming after a time where we called players gods, which included Hungrybox. In tennis, that former godhood, if we were to assign it, belonged to players like Nadal and Federer, once heralded as the best of their eras. The other reason I find this so compelling is because there's just such a difference in playstyles in these big three players. Melee, like tennis, thrives on rivalries where these playstyles counter and check each other. Well, okay, I guess Zayn and Cody both kind of destroy Hungrybox right now, but you get what I mean. Tennis, I find, has a similar power dynamic, at least with these players. Alcaraz's all-court aggression, Sinner dominating the baseline, and Djokovic playing a nasty defensive return game. Nobody is unbeatable, sure. There have been times in Melee where people look damn close to being unstoppable, but there exists this perpetual what if that keeps us coming back for more. But there's one more question we need to ask, and that's why do we or why should we even care about this? In 2025, this is especially captivating because we're in a moment of true uncertainty. For years, both scenes were dominated by a select group of their most elite, the big three in tennis and the five gods in Melee. As exciting as the gameplay was for those time periods, looking back in retrospect, it probably got predictable. Something I have constantly said on commentary is that right now it feels like the most up for grabs Melee has ever been. There are no free meals at every single level of the game. You just got ranked top 10 in the world? Congrats, a Luigi player beat you twice. You just won a tournament? Awesome. Well, now you have to deal with the worst performance of your career. There is just so much variance, and that unpredictability makes these sports so compelling to watch. Fans don't just watch to see who wins, they tune in to see how these styles clash, how the narratives unfold, what breakout stars can and do appear at every turn. And I think these parallels amplify the drama. Watching Zayn and Cody fight at Battle of BC, or Tipped Off, or Supernova, or most recently Riptide feels like watching Alcaraz grind out Sinner at the US Open. Watching Hungrybox clutch out a last stock situation feels like Djokovic saving match point after match point time after time at Wimbledon. But finally, the reason all of this matters is because, in part, these eras are meant to end. As of the 2025 US Open, Sinner and Alcaraz have won the last 8 Grand Slams. Add in Djokovic and they've won the last 14. 2025 in Melee is looking like the Zayn and Cody show, with Zayn holding 5 major wins, Cody 3, and HBox 1. Like I said before, this is coming after the so-called Five Gods of Melee era and during a period in 2024 where it really felt like just about anyone could win a Melee major with how open the field was. So the reason I find this so compelling is because at a certain point, we're not just watching tournaments anymore. We're watching eras begin, end, and be noticed in real time. So what exactly does it mean to say Melee is in its tennis era? To me, it means that Melee isn't just surviving, but thriving, to a point where its narratives are as layered and compelling as any other traditional sport. This tennis parallel was basically just a narrative device for the sake of this video, intended to help you guys as fans become more invested in watching a dynamic rivalry and power struggle between 3 completely different players, each representing their own philosophy of play and of competition. And hopefully it worked. Hungrybox is Djokovic, the stubborn survivor, reminding us that greatness never truly fades. Cody is Sinner, the optimizer, proving that hard work can beat talent. And Zayn is Alcaraz, the prodigy fulfilling destiny, marching his way to goathood. Together, whether they wanted to or not, they've become intertwined to a story that keeps their sport alive, relevant, and unforgettable. And not for nothing, it's pretty remarkable that both the histories and the personalities line up so well. On their own, this is just a random video essay rambling about something I found interesting, and maybe it isn't compelling enough. But the personality aspect to this parallel makes the story that much more intriguing, since we have all of these players who are all so different. It is truly a unique mix of personalities that enhances the pure results-based story, which I think is awesome. But hey, I think I could probably make a story out of anything. That's kind of my job, right? This is the fun part, and sometimes the stories write themselves. Thanks for watching. Gotta give a huge shout out to my top supporters on Patreon and YouTube memberships. I just did a stream recently and you guys honestly really super showed up. So now we have this fun little banner on the top of the channel to show all of my YouTube members to you guys. So yeah, let me know if you want to see more of those streams. I think the middle tier on YouTube gets your name voiced in the credits like what I'm doing right now, so thanks to Avishua Stein, Bobby Wasabi, Dark Genix, Eric is Cool, Gustavo Cantu Fernandez, Henry Huang, Ian, Jazz the Pirate, Justin Duncan Mills, Kyle Carlin, Marshall Bradley, and Sam Wright.